2.2 Explanation and differentiation of terminology. In this section, we will explore and differentiate between various pairs of terms to gain a deeper understanding of their distinctions and implications. 1. Nature versus nurture. The nature versus nurture debate revolves around the question of whether human behavior is primarily influenced by genetic factors, nature, or environmental factors, nurture. Nature refers to the innate traits and genetic predispositions that individuals inherit, while nurture encompasses the external influences such as upbringing, education, and social environment that shape an individual's development. This ongoing debate explores the complex interplay between genetics and the environment in determining human characteristics and behavior. 2. Equality versus equity. Equality and equity are concepts often discussed in the context of social justice and fairness. Equality refers to treating everyone the same, regardless of their individual needs or circumstances. It emphasizes providing equal opportunities and resources to all individuals. On the other hand, equity acknowledges that individuals have different needs and aims to ensure fairness by distributing resources and opportunities based on those needs. Equity recognizes and addresses existing disparities and strives to provide individuals with the necessary support to achieve equal outcomes. 3. Ethics versus morals. Ethics and morals both deal with concepts of right and wrong, but they differ in scope and application. Ethics refers to a broader framework of principles and guidelines that govern individual and societal conduct. It often involves systematic reasoning and philosophical inquiry to establish a set of rules or principles for moral behavior. Morals, on the other hand, are personal beliefs and values regarding what is right or wrong. Morals are influenced by cultural, religious, and individual factors, and they guide an individual's behavior and decision-making based on their own sense of right and wrong. 4. Primary versus secondary sources. Primary and secondary sources are terms commonly used in research and academia to categorize different types of information. A primary source is an original piece of information or evidence that is directly related to the subject under investigation. Examples of primary sources include original research studies, first-hand accounts, interviews, and historical documents. Secondary sources, on the other hand, are interpretations, analyses, or discussions of primary sources. They are derived from primary sources and provide commentary or analysis on a particular topic. Secondary sources include books, review articles, and scholarly papers. 5. Renewable versus non-renewable resources. Renewable and non-renewable resources are terms used to describe different types of natural resources based on their availability and sustainability. Renewable resources are those that can be naturally replenished over time, either through natural processes or human intervention. Examples of renewable resources include solar energy, wind energy, and forests, when managed sustainably. Non-renewable resources, on the other hand, are finite and cannot be easily replenished once depleted. Examples of non-renewable resources include fossil fuels, coal, oil, natural gas, minerals, and certain metals. By understanding the distinctions between these pairs of terms, we can better navigate discussions, debates, and academic endeavors related to these concepts and their implications. A. Abiotic and biotic factors. Understanding the interplay of the inanimate and living components in ecosystems. In ecosystems, there are two fundamental categories of factors that influence the functioning and dynamics of the environment: abiotic and biotic factors. These factors play distinct roles and are essential for maintaining the delicate balance within ecosystems. Abiotic factors refer to the non-living components of an ecosystem. They include physical and chemical factors such as temperature, sunlight, water availability, soil composition, pH levels, atmospheric gases, and geological features. These abiotic factors have a significant impact on the distribution, abundance, and survival of organisms within an ecosystem. For example, temperature affects the metabolic rates of organisms, sunlight availability affects photosynthesis in plants, and water availability determines the types of organisms that can thrive in a particular habitat. Biotic factors, on the other hand, encompass all living organisms within an ecosystem, including plants, animals, fungi, bacteria, and other microorganisms. Biotic factors interact with one another and with their environment in complex ways. Organisms within an ecosystem rely on each other for food, shelter, reproduction, and other interactions. For instance, predators and prey have intricate relationships that influence population dynamics, while plants and pollinators have mutualistic interactions that promote pollination and reproduction. It is important to note that abiotic and biotic factors are interconnected and influence each other. For instance, the availability of sunlight affects the growth of plants, biotic factor, which in turn influences the microclimate by providing shade and affecting temperature, abiotic factor. Similarly, the decomposition of organic matter by decomposers, biotic factor, affects nutrient availability in the soil, abiotic factor, which in turn influences plant growth. Understanding the interplay between abiotic and biotic factors is crucial for comprehending the structure and functioning of ecosystems. It allows scientists to study how changes in environmental conditions, such as climate change or human activities, can impact both the physical and biological components of ecosystems. By considering these factors collectively, researchers can gain insights into the intricate web of interactions that sustain life on Earth. B. Niche and habitat, exploring the roles and environments of organisms in ecosystems. Niche and habitat are two distinct concepts that help us understand how organisms interact with their surroundings within an ecosystem. While they are related, they represent different aspects of an organism's ecological context. Habitat refers to the physical location or environment in which an organism lives. It encompasses the specific geographical area, such as a forest, a coral reef, a desert, or a freshwater stream, where an organism can be found. A habitat provides the necessary abiotic factors, including temperature, humidity, sunlight, soil type, and availability of resources, that support the survival and reproduction of a particular species. For example, a forest habitat provides trees for shelter, soil for burrowing, and a diverse range of plants and animals for food sources. On the other hand, a niche refers to the role and position that an organism occupies within its habitat. It involves the organism's interactions with both the abiotic and biotic components of its environment. The niche of a species includes the specific resources it utilizes, its feeding habits, its reproductive strategies, and its interactions with other organisms, such as predators, prey, competitors, and symbiotic partners. Essentially, a niche describes how an organism fits into and contributes to the overall functioning of its habitat. For instance, a niche can be that of a pollinator, a scavenger, a predator, or a decomposer. The relationship between niche and habitat is intertwined. The habitat provides the necessary conditions and resources for organisms to establish their niches. Different species occupying the same habitat tend to have distinct niches, minimizing competition for resources and allowing for the coexistence of diverse organisms. Over time, through natural selection and adaptation, species have evolved specific traits and behaviors that enable them to occupy different niches within their shared habitat. Understanding the concepts of niche and habitat is crucial for comprehending the complexity and diversity of ecosystems. It helps us recognize the intricate web of interactions among organisms, their environment, and other species within their ecological communities. By studying niches and habitats, ecologists gain insights into the adaptations, roles, and ecological functions of organisms, which are vital for conservation efforts, species management, and maintaining the balance and health of ecosystems. C. Population and community, exploring interactions and dynamics in ecosystems. Population and community are two fundamental concepts in ecology that help us understand the structure, composition, and dynamics of ecosystems. While related, they represent different levels of organization within ecological systems. Population refers to a group of individuals of the same species that occupy the same geographical area and have the potential to interbreed. It is a unit of study that focuses on the dynamics and characteristics of a single species within a given habitat. Population ecologists examine factors such as population size, density, age distribution, birth rates, death rates, migration patterns, and interactions between individuals within the same species. Understanding population dynamics provides insights into factors influencing population growth or decline, species distribution, and the potential for genetic variation and adaptations within a species. On the other hand, a community represents the assemblage of multiple populations of different species that coexist and interact within a given habitat or ecosystem. It involves the study of the various species and their relationships, including predator-prey interactions, competition for resources, symbiotic relationships, and the flow of energy and nutrients among organisms. A community encompasses the complexity of interactions and interdependencies among different species, shaping the biodiversity, stability, and functioning of an ecosystem. By studying community dynamics, ecologists gain insights into the processes that maintain species diversity and ecosystem resilience. The relationship between population and community is hierarchical. A community consists of multiple populations of different species, each with its own population dynamics and ecological characteristics. Populations within a community interact with one another, directly or indirectly, influencing factors such as resource availability, predation, and competition. These interactions shape the composition and structure of the community, ultimately influencing the ecological processes and functions within the ecosystem. Studying both populations and communities is essential for understanding the complexities of ecosystems. By examining population dynamics, scientists gain insights into the factors influencing the success or vulnerability of a particular species. Community ecology provides a broader perspective by considering the interactions and interdependencies among multiple species, highlighting the interconnectedness and resilience of ecological systems. Together, population and community ecology contribute to our understanding of biodiversity, species interactions, ecosystem stability, and the conservation and management of natural resources. D. Species and population, unraveling the units of life and their interconnections. Species and population are fundamental concepts in biology that help us classify and understand the organization of living organisms. They represent different levels of biological organization and provide insights into the diversity and dynamics of life on Earth. Species is a fundamental unit of biological classification. It refers to a group of organisms that share similar characteristics and can interbreed to produce fertile offspring. Members of the same species have the ability to exchange genetic material and pass on traits from one generation to the next. While the definition of a species can vary depending on different biological concepts and criteria, the concept of reproductive isolation is generally used to differentiate one species from another. The classification of species helps scientists categorize and study the vast array of living organisms, enabling us to better understand their evolutionary relationships, adaptations, and ecological roles. Population, on the other hand, refers to a group of individuals of the same species that inhabit a specific geographic area and have the potential to interact and interbreed. A population can be as small as a few individuals in a localized area or as large as a widespread group spanning multiple habitats. Population ecology focuses on studying the dynamics and characteristics of populations, including population size, density, distribution, growth rates, genetic diversity, and interactions between individuals within the same species. By examining population dynamics, scientists gain insights into factors such as birth rates, death rates, immigration, and emigration, which influence the abundance and persistence of a particular species in a given area. The relationship between species and population is interconnected. A species consists of one or more populations that share common genetic traits and reproductive compatibility. Populations, in turn, are made up of individuals that contribute to the genetic diversity and dynamics of the species. While a species is a broader concept that encompasses multiple populations, each population represents a localized group of individuals with their own unique characteristics and interactions. Understanding the concepts of species and population is essential for studying the diversity, distribution, and ecological interactions of organisms. Species classification allows us to identify and describe the incredible variety of life forms on our planet. Population ecology provides insights into the factors that influence the growth, decline, and geographic patterns of species. By unraveling the units of life at both the species and population levels, we can gain a deeper understanding of the complex web of life and contribute to conservation efforts, species management, and the preservation of biodiversity. Abiotic and biotic factors, unveiling the inanimate and living components in ecosystems. Abiotic factors encompass the non-living elements that shape and influence the dynamics of an ecosystem. These factors include various physical and chemical components such as temperature, sunlight, soil composition, water availability, and nutrient levels. Abiotic factors set the environmental conditions within an ecosystem, providing the foundation for the survival and interactions of organisms. For example, temperature affects the metabolic rates and physiological functions of organisms, sunlight is essential for photosynthesis in plants, soil composition affects nutrient availability, and water availability is crucial for hydration and the functioning of biological processes. In contrast, biotic factors encompass the living organisms within an ecosystem. These include plants, animals, fungi, bacteria, and other microorganisms. Biotic factors play vital roles in shaping ecosystem dynamics through various interactions. They participate in processes such as predation, competition for resources, mutualistic relationships, and decomposition. Biotic factors can influence the distribution, abundance, and diversity of species within an ecosystem. For instance, predator-prey interactions regulate population sizes, while mutualistic relationships, such as pollination, promote the reproduction and survival of certain species. Biotic factors also contribute to nutrient cycling and the flow of energy within ecosystems. Understanding the distinction between abiotic and biotic factors is crucial for comprehending the intricate relationships within ecosystems. While abiotic factors provide the physical and chemical framework, biotic factors bring life and diversity to the system. Both types of factors are interconnected and influence each other. Biotic factors rely on abiotic factors for survival, as they provide the necessary conditions and resources. Abiotic factors, in turn, can be influenced by the presence and activities of biotic factors. For instance, plants can modify soil composition through their root systems, impacting nutrient availability for other organisms. By studying the interplay between abiotic and biotic factors, ecologists can gain insights into the functioning, resilience, and responses of ecosystems to environmental changes. This knowledge is crucial for understanding the impacts of human activities, climate change, and habitat alterations on the delicate balance and sustainability of ecosystems. Habitat and niche, unveiling the living environment and ecological roles of organisms. Habitat, uncovering the living environment. A habitat is a specific place or physical environment where an organism resides and carries out its life activities. It provides the essential resources necessary for an organism's survival, growth, and reproduction. These resources include food, water, shelter, and mates. A habitat can range from vast ecosystems like forests, grasslands, or coral reefs to smaller-scale environments like burrows, tree hollows, or even the surface of a leaf. It can be visualized as the organism's address or its living space within the broader landscape. The characteristics of a habitat, such as temperature, humidity, soil composition, vegetation, and availability of resources, determine which organisms can thrive within it. Different species have specific habitat requirements based on their adaptations and ecological preferences. For example, a polar bear's habitat includes icy regions near the Arctic, while a cactus thrives in arid desert habitats. Understanding an organism's habitat is crucial for comprehending its distribution, abundance, and ecological interactions. Niche, unraveling the ecological roles and interactions. A niche represents the specific role or job that an organism plays within its habitat. It encompasses the way an organism interacts with its biotic and abiotic surroundings, including other organisms and the resources available. A niche is determined by various factors, such as the organism's feeding habits, reproductive strategies, preferred microhabitat, and its interactions with predators, prey, competitors, or symbiotic partners. It can be visualized as the organism's profession or its ecological specialization. The niche of an organism determines how it utilizes resources, competes with other species, and contributes to the functioning and dynamics of the ecosystem. Each species within a habitat occupies a unique niche, which minimizes direct competition for resources and allows for the coexistence of diverse organisms. For example, certain bird species may have specialized beaks for extracting nectar from flowers, while others may have beaks designed for cracking seeds. These adaptations allow them to utilize different resources within the same habitat, reducing competition for limited food sources. The concept of a niche extends beyond an organism's immediate requirements. It also includes the indirect effects an organism has on its environment and other species. For instance, a plant species may provide nectar to pollinators, contributing to the reproduction of both the plant and the pollinator species. This mutualistic interaction showcases the interconnectedness of niches and the vital roles organisms play in ecosystem functioning. By understanding the intricate relationship between habitat and niche, ecologists gain insights into how organisms are adapted to their environments and how they contribute to the overall structure and dynamics of ecosystems. Exploring habitats and niches allows us to appreciate the remarkable diversity and specialization of life forms, as well as the complex web of interactions that sustain ecological balance. For example, in a forest habitat, the multifaceted roles of a tree. Heading: The multifaceted roles of a tree in a forest habitat. Within a forest habitat, a tree assumes numerous critical functions that contribute to the overall functioning and biodiversity of the ecosystem. It serves as a prime example of how an organism's habitat and niche interact to support various organisms and ecological processes. Habitat: the forest as the tree's abode. The tree's habitat encompasses the entire forest ecosystem, where it resides and thrives alongside other organisms. The forest habitat provides the necessary abiotic factors, including soil, sunlight, temperature, humidity, and rainfall, for the tree's survival and growth. These environmental conditions shape the tree's physiological processes, such as photosynthesis, water uptake, and nutrient absorption. The tree, in turn, influences the microclimate within the forest, creating shade, altering wind patterns, and modifying soil composition through its root system. Niche: provider of resources and shelter. The niche of a tree within its forest habitat involves the multifaceted roles it plays as a provider of resources and a habitat for other organisms. Firstly, the tree captures sunlight through its leaves, engaging in photosynthesis to convert light energy into chemical energy. This process allows the tree to produce glucose, which serves as a vital energy source for its own growth and metabolism. Secondly, the tree contributes to the cycling of nutrients within the forest ecosystem. Through its roots, it absorbs water and essential minerals from the soil, incorporating them into its tissues. When leaves, branches, or even the entire tree eventually fall to the forest floor, they undergo decomposition, releasing nutrients back into the soil. This process replenishes the nutrient pool, supporting the growth of other plants and organisms within the ecosystem. Additionally, the tree provides shelter and habitats for a wide range of organisms. Birds often build nests in its branches, finding safety and protection from predators. Insects and other invertebrates may find refuge in the bark crevices, leaf litter, or within the tree's hollows. These microhabitats created by the tree offer a safe haven for various organisms, contributing to the overall biodiversity of the forest ecosystem. By fulfilling its niche as a provider of resources and shelter, the tree exemplifies the intricate connections between organisms within an ecosystem. Its interactions with other organisms, both directly and indirectly, influence the structure and functioning of the forest habitat. The tree's presence and ecological contributions support the survival, reproduction, and well-being of numerous species, highlighting the interconnectedness and interdependencies within ecosystems. C. Population and community, exploring interactions and diversity in ecosystems. Heading: Exploring interactions and diversity in ecosystems, population and community. Population, uniting individuals of the same species. A population is a collective term used to describe a group of individuals belonging to the same species that inhabit the same geographic area and have the potential to interact and interbreed. It can be envisioned as a cohesive unit of individuals sharing a common genetic identity and exhibiting similar traits and characteristics. The members of a population often have the opportunity to engage in social interactions, mate with one another, and contribute to the gene pool of the species. By studying populations, scientists can gain insights into factors such as population size, density, distribution, genetic diversity, and dynamics over time. Understanding population dynamics is crucial for understanding the abundance, distribution, and evolutionary patterns of a species within its habitat. Community, interactions and diversity among species. In contrast to a population, a community refers to the assemblage of multiple populations of different species that coexist and interact within a specific area or ecosystem. It encompasses the collective interactions between different species and represents the diversity and complexity of ecological relationships. In a community, various species, including plants, animals, fungi, bacteria, and other organisms, interact with one another directly or indirectly. These interactions can take many forms, such as predation, competition, mutualism, commensalism, and parasitism. The community includes the intricate web of relationships between species, where each species occupies its own niche and contributes to the overall functioning of the ecosystem. By studying communities, ecologists gain insights into the factors influencing species interactions, biodiversity patterns, energy flow, and nutrient cycling within ecosystems. The relationship between population and community. While a population represents a group of individuals of the same species, a community consists of multiple populations of different species coexisting and interacting in a shared habitat. The relationship between population and community is hierarchical, with populations coming together to form communities. Each population within a community interacts with other populations and their abiotic environment, influencing factors such as resource availability, predation, competition, and the overall structure of the community. Understanding the dynamics of populations and their interactions within a community is essential for comprehending the diversity, stability, and functioning of ecosystems. By examining both populations and communities, ecologists gain a comprehensive understanding of the interactions and interdependencies that shape ecosystems. The study of populations provides insights into the dynamics and characteristics of individual species, while the study of communities unravels the intricate relationships and diversity among species. By delving into the complexities of population and community ecology, scientists can better grasp the patterns, processes, and conservation needs of natural ecosystems. For example, in a pond ecosystem, exploring fish population and community dynamics. Heading: Exploring fish population and community dynamics in a pond ecosystem. In a pond ecosystem, the fish population represents all the individuals of a particular species that inhabit the pond. The fish population is specifically focused on studying the dynamics, characteristics, and interactions among the fish within that specific aquatic environment. The fish population consists of all the individuals of a particular fish species residing in the pond. These individuals share common genetic traits, reproductive compatibility, and ecological preferences. Studying the fish population involves examining factors such as population size, age structure, growth rates, reproductive patterns, and the interactions among individuals of the same species. By understanding the fish population, scientists gain insights into the abundance, distribution, and health of that particular fish species in the pond ecosystem. However, the pond ecosystem is much more than just the fish population. It encompasses a diverse community of various organisms coexisting and interacting within the same aquatic environment. The community includes populations of plants, insects, amphibians, microorganisms, and other organisms that are part of the pond ecosystem. These populations of different species interact with one another directly or indirectly, forming complex ecological relationships. The community within the pond ecosystem comprises the interactions among multiple populations, including the fish population. It encompasses the diverse array of organisms that share the same habitat, engage in various ecological interactions, and contribute to the overall functioning of the pond ecosystem. For example, the plants in the pond provide oxygen, food, and shelter for the fish population, while the insects may serve as prey for the fish or contribute to the pollination of aquatic plants. The interactions between different populations within the community play a crucial role in nutrient cycling, energy flow, and the overall stability of the pond ecosystem. By studying both the fish population and the community, scientists gain a comprehensive understanding of the dynamics and interrelationships within the pond ecosystem. Focusing on the fish population allows for a detailed examination of the specific fish species' characteristics and behaviors. Expanding the scope to the community level provides insights into the broader ecological interactions and the diversity of organisms that contribute to the pond ecosystem's complexity and functioning. D. Species and population, unraveling taxonomy and geographic concentration. Heading: Unraveling taxonomy and geographic concentration, species and population. Species, uniting organisms with shared characteristics. Species represents a fundamental concept in biology that refers to a group of organisms sharing similar characteristics and having the ability to interbreed, thereby producing fertile offspring. It serves as the smallest and most specific taxonomic group within the classification of living organisms. The concept of a species allows scientists to categorize and identify the incredible diversity of life forms on Earth. Organisms within the same species share genetic traits, reproductive compatibility, and, to some extent, ecological preferences. However, it is important to note that defining a species can be complex and can vary depending on different biological concepts and criteria. Reproductive isolation, where individuals of different species cannot produce viable offspring together, is often used as a criterion to differentiate one species from another. Population, focusing on geographic concentration. As mentioned earlier, a population is a group of individuals belonging to the same species that live in the same geographic area. In other words, a population can be seen as a subset of a species that occupies a specific and localized habitat. The population represents a concentration of individuals of the same species that have the potential to interact, mate, and exchange genetic material. It is characterized by a shared gene pool and may exhibit unique variations or adaptations specific to its geographic location. By studying populations, scientists gain insights into factors such as population size, density, distribution, genetic diversity, and dynamics over time. Examining populations allows for a more focused analysis of the specific ecological and evolutionary patterns within a particular geographic area. The relationship between species and population. Species and population are interconnected concepts. A species represents a broader category encompassing multiple populations of individuals sharing common characteristics and reproductive compatibility. Each population, in turn, is a localized group of individuals that constitutes a subset of the species, occupying a specific geographic area. Populations within a species may exhibit variations due to environmental factors, genetic drift, or adaptations to local conditions. Understanding the relationship between species and population provides insights into the diversity, dynamics, and geographic distribution of organisms. By exploring the intricacies of species and population, scientists can gain a deeper understanding of the patterns, adaptations, and evolutionary processes within living organisms. Species classification allows for the identification and classification of organisms, aiding in scientific research, conservation efforts, and our overall understanding of biodiversity. Focusing on populations provides a closer examination of the localized dynamics, genetic variation, and ecological interactions within a particular species. The combined study of species and populations contributes to our knowledge of the interconnectedness and complexity of life on Earth. For example, considering Canis lupus, unveiling population dynamics of grey wolves in a specific region. Heading: Unveiling population dynamics of grey wolves in a specific region. If we focus on the species Canis lupus, commonly known as the grey wolf, a population can be defined as a group of grey wolves living in a specific region, such as a national park. By zooming in on this particular species and its population dynamics, we can gain insights into the behavior, ecology, and conservation of the grey wolf within a localized area. Grey wolves, as a species, share common characteristics and reproductive compatibility, making them a distinct taxonomic group. However, within the larger grey wolf species, individual populations can be found in various geographic areas. In this example, the population of grey wolves resides in a specific region, which could be a national park or any other defined habitat. This population is characterized by a concentrated group of grey wolves that interact and share a common gene pool. Studying the population of grey wolves in a specific region provides a focused examination of the dynamics and characteristics of this group. Scientists analyze various factors, including population size, density, territoriality, social structure, hunting patterns, and genetic diversity within this localized population. By understanding these population dynamics, researchers can assess the health, reproduction, and overall well-being of the grey wolf population in that specific region. Moreover, investigating the population of grey wolves within a defined area, such as a national park, offers valuable insights into the interactions between the wolves and their environment. Researchers can study the wolves' ecological relationships, such as predation dynamics, territoriality, and their impact on prey populations. They can also examine the interactions between grey wolves and other species within the ecosystem, including their potential role as keystone predators or indicators of ecosystem health. Understanding the population dynamics of grey wolves within a specific region has significant implications for conservation efforts and the management of these apex predators. It enables scientists and conservationists to monitor population trends, assess the impact of human activities, and develop strategies for maintaining healthy and sustainable grey wolf populations in their natural habitats. By delving into the population dynamics of species like Canis lupus, we gain a deeper understanding of the ecological and behavioral complexities that shape the interactions and survival of grey wolves within specific regions. Such knowledge aids in the conservation and management of these iconic species, ensuring their long-term viability and coexistence with other components of the ecosystem. 2.3. The impact of abiotic factors on living organisms, exploring the influence of soil, water, and climate. Abiotic factors, such as soil, water, and climate, play a crucial role in shaping the survival, distribution, and functioning of living organisms within ecosystems. These abiotic factors provide the fundamental physical and chemical conditions necessary for life, influencing the adaptability and ecological strategies of organisms. Soil, the foundation of nutrient availability. Soil composition and properties directly impact the availability of nutrients for plant growth and the organisms that depend on them. Soil provides essential elements and minerals required for plant nutrition, such as nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and trace elements. It also serves as a medium for root anchorage, water absorption, and oxygen exchange. Different types of soil, such as clay, sand, or loam, have varying water-holding capacities, drainage properties, and nutrient retention capabilities. Organisms have specific adaptations to different soil types, and their survival and growth are influenced by the soil conditions in their habitat. Water, the elixir of life. Water availability is a critical abiotic factor that profoundly impacts the survival and distribution of organisms. Water is essential for cellular functions, metabolic processes, and overall hydration. It influences the distribution of organisms in aquatic ecosystems, as well as the presence of vegetation in terrestrial ecosystems. Availability of water affects the physiology and behavior of organisms, influencing their reproductive cycles, feeding patterns, and migration. Organisms in water-scarce environments often possess adaptations to conserve water or are capable of tolerating drought conditions, while aquatic organisms have adaptations to live in various water conditions, such as freshwater, marine, or brackish environments. Climate, the overarching environmental influence. Climate encompasses a range of abiotic factors, including temperature, sunlight, wind patterns, and precipitation, that shape the overall environmental conditions in a particular region. Climate influences the types of organisms that can thrive in a given area and plays a significant role in their physiological processes, behavior, and life history strategies. Temperature affects metabolic rates, growth, and reproduction. Sunlight availability influences photosynthesis in plants and, therefore, the energy flow within ecosystems. Wind patterns can disperse seeds and pollens, affect microclimates, and influence the structure of vegetation. Precipitation patterns determine water availability, affect nutrient cycling, and shape the diversity of habitats and species within an ecosystem. The impact of abiotic factors on living organisms extends beyond individual organisms. Abiotic factors also influence species interactions, population dynamics, and community structure. For example, temperature and precipitation patterns can affect the timing of migration or hibernation, predator-prey relationships, and reproductive cycles. Changes in abiotic factors, such as alterations in climate patterns or soil composition, can have significant consequences for the survival and functioning of ecosystems, including shifts in species distribution, changes in community composition, and disruptions in ecological processes. Understanding the impact of abiotic factors on living organisms is essential for comprehending the adaptations, ecological strategies, and responses of organisms to environmental changes. It aids in predicting and mitigating the effects of human activities, climate change, and habitat alterations on ecosystems. By examining the intricate relationships between organisms and their abiotic environment, scientists can better grasp the complexities of life on Earth and contribute to the conservation and sustainable management of our planet's biodiversity. Abiotic factors, shaping the distribution and survival of living organisms. Heading: Shaping the distribution and survival, the influence of abiotic factors. Abiotic factors, such as soil, water, and climate, exert significant influence on the distribution and survival of living organisms in their respective environments. These non-living components play essential roles in shaping the ecological niches, adaptations, and overall ecological strategies of organisms. Soil, fostering nutrient availability and physical support. Soil is a vital abiotic factor that provides essential nutrients, physical support, and water-holding capacity for organisms. It serves as a reservoir of nutrients required for plant growth, providing the necessary elements for photosynthesis, growth, and reproduction. Soil composition, including its pH, organic matter content, and mineral composition, affects the availability and accessibility of nutrients for plants and the organisms that depend on them. Additionally, soil provides physical support for plants, enabling root anchorage, nutrient uptake, and water absorption. Different types of soil have varying characteristics, influencing the types of organisms that can thrive in a particular habitat. Water, the precious lifeline. Water availability is critical for the survival of organisms, acting as a vital abiotic factor that influences their distribution and ecological adaptations. Water is essential for cellular functions, metabolic processes, and temperature regulation. Aquatic organisms, such as fish and amphibians, rely on water as their habitat, while terrestrial organisms require water for hydration and physiological functions. Availability of water influences the distribution of organisms, determining the presence of vegetation in terrestrial ecosystems and supporting diverse communities in aquatic ecosystems. Organisms have adapted various strategies to cope with different water conditions, such as drought tolerance, water storage mechanisms, or specialized behaviors for acquiring water. Climate, the environmental regulator. Climate encompasses a range of abiotic factors, including temperature, sunlight, precipitation, wind patterns, and humidity, that collectively shape the environmental conditions in a particular region. These factors play a crucial role in determining the types of organisms that can thrive in a specific habitat. Temperature affects the rates of biochemical reactions, growth, and development of organisms, influencing their physiology and metabolism. Sunlight availability drives photosynthesis in plants, providing energy for the ecosystem and shaping the productivity of an area. Precipitation patterns determine the water availability, affecting the abundance and distribution of organisms. Wind patterns can disperse seeds, pollens, and organisms, influencing colonization and gene flow. Humidity affects evaporation rates, water loss, and adaptation strategies of organisms. The interplay of abiotic factors shapes the distribution, adaptations, and survival strategies of organisms in their environments. Organisms possess specific physiological, anatomical, and behavioral adaptations to cope with the conditions imposed by abiotic factors. They occupy specific niches and exhibit niche differentiation, allowing them to utilize resources efficiently and reduce competition within a habitat. Changes in abiotic factors, whether due to natural processes or human activities, can disrupt ecological balance, impact species distributions, alter community structures, and influence the overall functioning of ecosystems. Understanding the role of abiotic factors in shaping the distribution and survival of organisms is crucial for comprehending the complexity of ecosystems and developing effective conservation strategies. By studying the intricate relationships between organisms and their abiotic environment, scientists can gain insights into the adaptations, ecological interactions, and responses of organisms to environmental changes. This knowledge aids in the conservation and sustainable management of ecosystems, promoting the preservation of biodiversity and the well-being of all living organisms. Soil, the crucial foundation for plant growth and ecosystem support. Heading: The crucial foundation, exploring the multifaceted role of soil. Soil, an essential abiotic factor, plays a multifaceted role in supporting plant growth and sustaining ecosystems. It serves as a medium for plant development, acts as a nutrient and water reservoir, and significantly influences the composition and interactions of organisms within an ecosystem. Plant growth, providing a nurturing medium. Soil provides a crucial medium for plant growth, anchoring roots and offering physical support. It acts as a reservoir for water, enabling plants to access moisture essential for photosynthesis, nutrient uptake, and overall hydration. Different soil types, such as sandy, loamy, or clay soil, exhibit unique properties that impact plant growth. Sandy soil drains water rapidly, allowing for quicker drying and providing limited water retention. Loamy soil, a balanced mixture of sand, silt, and clay, offers a favorable balance of drainage and water holding capacity. Clay soil retains water for longer periods but can be more challenging for root penetration. These varying soil characteristics influence the types of plants that can thrive in a particular area, shaping the composition and structure of plant communities within ecosystems. Nutrient reservoir, sustaining plant and organism health. Soil serves as a reservoir for nutrients required by plants and the organisms that depend on them. It contains essential elements, such as nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, and trace elements, necessary for plant growth, metabolic processes, and reproduction. Through a complex cycle of nutrient availability, decomposition, and mineralization, soil supports the replenishment of vital nutrients. The nutrient levels and composition of the soil directly influence the health, growth, and diversity of plant species within an ecosystem. As plants serve as primary producers, their nutrient availability shapes the trophic structure of the food web, impacting herbivores, carnivores, and decomposers that rely on them for sustenance. Ecological interactions, the link between soil, plants, and organisms. The types of plants that can grow in a particular area are determined by the soil conditions. This, in turn, influences the availability of food and shelter for animals and other organisms within the ecosystem. Different plant species provide diverse habitats, microenvironments, and resources, attracting specific animals and contributing to overall biodiversity. Animals may rely on certain plant species for food, while others utilize plants for shelter, nesting sites, or as host plants for their offspring. These interactions between soil, plants, and organisms create intricate ecological relationships and contribute to the overall functioning and stability of ecosystems. Understanding the multifaceted role of soil is crucial for comprehending the dynamics, adaptations, and interdependencies within ecosystems. Soil composition, texture, and fertility directly influence the distribution and diversity of plant species, which, in turn, shape the availability of resources and microhabitats for other organisms. Changes in soil conditions, such as erosion, pollution, or nutrient depletion, can have significant impacts on plant communities, organism interactions, and ecosystem health. By studying and managing soil health, scientists and conservationists can support the sustainability of plant communities, maintain biodiversity, and ensure the resilience of ecosystems in the face of environmental challenges. Water, the life source for organisms and the determinant of survival. Heading: The life source and survival determinant, exploring the significance of water. Water, the essence of life, plays a pivotal role in supporting the survival and determining the types of organisms that can thrive in a given area. Its availability and quality profoundly influence the distribution, adaptations, and ecological strategies of organisms, both aquatic and terrestrial. Essential for aquatic life, adaptations to thrive in water. Water is a fundamental requirement for aquatic organisms, including fish, algae, aquatic plants, and a myriad of invertebrates. These organisms have evolved specialized structures, physiological mechanisms, and behavioral adaptations to obtain oxygen and nutrients from their aquatic environment. Gills enable fish to extract dissolved oxygen from water, while algae and aquatic plants utilize chlorophyll to photosynthesize and produce oxygen as a byproduct. Aquatic organisms have streamlined body shapes, fins, and other appendages that enhance movement and maneuverability in the water. They have adapted to a variety of aquatic habitats, such as freshwater, marine, and brackish environments, each with its own unique physical and chemical properties. Dependent on water, terrestrial adaptations and survival. Terrestrial organisms, while not living directly in water, are dependent on water availability for their survival and reproduction. These organisms have developed adaptations to conserve water and endure periods of limited water availability. For example, plants have evolved various strategies to reduce water loss, such as through specialized leaf structures, example waxy cuticles, and modified stomatal behavior. Animals, such as desert-dwelling reptiles and insects, have developed physiological mechanisms to minimize water loss, such as the ability to concentrate urine or alter metabolic rates. Terrestrial organisms rely on water availability for hydration, maintaining physiological functions, and supporting reproductive cycles. In times of drought or limited water resources, organisms may enter periods of dormancy or migrate in search of water-rich habitats. Influence on organism distribution and adaptations. The availability of water significantly influences the distribution and adaptations of organisms. Aquatic organisms thrive in water-rich environments, exhibiting adaptations specific to their ecological niche, including buoyancy control, specialized respiration, and reproductive strategies. Terrestrial organisms have adapted to specific water availability conditions, with their distribution influenced by factors such as rainfall patterns, humidity levels, and proximity to water sources. The presence or absence of water shapes the composition of ecosystems and determines the types of organisms that can inhabit a particular area. Water availability, or the lack thereof, plays a crucial role in shaping the biogeography and community structures of ecosystems. Understanding the significance of water as a vital resource is essential for comprehending the adaptations, distributions, and interactions of organisms within ecosystems. Changes in water availability, whether due to natural processes or human-induced factors, can have profound impacts on organisms, their habitats, and ecosystem functioning. By studying the intricate relationships between organisms and water, scientists gain insights into the adaptations, physiological processes, and ecological dynamics that allow life to flourish in diverse environments. Ensuring the sustainable management and conservation of water resources is essential for safeguarding the survival and well-being of organisms and maintaining the integrity of ecosystems. Climate, long-term weather patterns and its influence on organisms. Heading: Long-term weather patterns, examining the impact of climate on organisms. Climate encompasses the long-term weather patterns of an area, encompassing various factors such as temperature, rainfall, humidity, and wind. It exerts a significant influence on the survival, distribution, and abundance of organisms. Different organisms possess distinct temperature and moisture requirements for their optimal survival and reproduction. The climate also plays a crucial role in shaping the growth of plants, which form the foundation of food chains and food webs. Organisms have evolved diverse adaptations to cope with specific climate conditions, and changes in climate can have profound effects on their distribution, population dynamics, and ecological interactions. Temperature and moisture, vital factors for organism requirements. Temperature is a key climatic factor that influences the physiological processes, growth rates, and overall activity levels of organisms. Each species has a specific temperature range within which it thrives, known as its thermal tolerance. Organisms have evolved various adaptations to cope with temperature fluctuations, including physiological mechanisms for thermoregulation or behavioral strategies to seek out favorable microclimates. Temperature affects enzyme function, metabolic rates, reproduction, and the timing of life cycle events. Organisms may migrate or hibernate in response to extreme temperature conditions to ensure their survival. Moisture, particularly in the form of rainfall and humidity, is another critical climatic factor that influences the survival and growth of organisms. Moisture availability affects the distribution of plants and the types of habitats that can support certain species. Organisms have evolved adaptations to deal with both wet and dry conditions. Some are adapted to thrive in arid environments with limited water availability, while others flourish in humid regions. Moisture availability also impacts the reproductive cycles, behavior, and migration patterns of organisms, particularly those dependent on water for reproduction or as a habitat. Plant growth and food chains, the role of climate. Climate significantly influences the growth and productivity of plants, which serve as the primary producers in ecosystems. Different plant species have varying temperature and moisture requirements, influencing their distribution patterns. Climate factors, such as temperature and rainfall, directly impact the availability of water and nutrients for plants. These factors, in turn, determine the types of vegetation that can thrive in a particular area. As primary producers, plants form the base of food chains and food webs, providing nourishment for herbivores, which are subsequently consumed by carnivores and higher trophic levels. Changes in climate can lead to shifts in plant communities, altering the availability and quality of resources for the entire ecosystem. Adaptations and responses, coping with climate conditions. Organisms have evolved a myriad of adaptations to cope with specific climate conditions. These adaptations include physiological, anatomical, and behavioral traits that enable them to withstand temperature extremes, conserve water, or tolerate variations in moisture availability. For instance, desert-dwelling plants often possess deep root systems or succulent structures to acquire water and minimize water loss. Some animals have thick fur coats or specialized physiological mechanisms to regulate body temperature in cold climates. Changes in climate, such as temperature increases, altered rainfall patterns, or extreme weather events, can pose challenges to organisms. Rapid shifts in climate can disrupt ecological relationships, migration patterns, and the availability of resources, influencing the distribution and abundance of species within an ecosystem. Understanding the influence of climate on organisms is crucial for comprehending their adaptations, distributions, and ecological responses. Climate change, driven by human activities, poses significant challenges as it can disrupt the delicate balance of ecosystems and result in biodiversity loss. Studying climate patterns and their effects on organisms aids in predicting and mitigating the impacts of climate change, supporting the development of effective conservation strategies, and promoting the resilience of ecosystems in the face of environmental challenges. 3.1. Producers and consumers, identifying their relative positions in food chains. Heading: Identifying the relative positions, producers and consumers in food chains. Producers and consumers are key components of food chains, which depict the flow of energy and nutrients within ecosystems. By understanding their relative positions, we can gain insights into the transfer of energy and the interconnectedness of organisms within ecological communities. Producers, the foundation of food chains. Producers, also known as autotrophs, form the base of food chains and are primarily responsible for converting sunlight energy into chemical energy through the process of photosynthesis. Producers include green plants, algae, and some bacteria that contain chlorophyll and can synthesize organic compounds using carbon dioxide, water, and sunlight. These organisms have the unique ability to capture sunlight energy and convert it into stored chemical energy in the form of glucose and other organic molecules. In doing so, they serve as primary producers of food, fueling the entire food chain. Producers occupy the first trophic level in food chains and provide nourishment for other organisms. They utilize energy from the sun, combined with nutrients from the environment, to produce organic matter. This organic matter becomes the source of energy and nutrients for the subsequent trophic levels. Consumers, dependence on producers for energy. Consumers, also known as heterotrophs, are organisms that obtain energy by consuming other organisms. They rely on the organic matter synthesized by producers to meet their energy and nutrient requirements. Consumers include various types of organisms, such as herbivores, carnivores, omnivores, and decomposers. Herbivores are primary consumers that directly feed on producers, consuming plant material as their main source of energy. They play a crucial role in transferring energy from plants to higher trophic levels. Herbivores can range from large mammals, such as deer and rabbits, to small insects and other invertebrates. Carnivores are secondary or tertiary consumers that feed on other animals. They obtain energy by consuming herbivores or other carnivores. Carnivores can be classified into different categories based on their feeding habits. Primary carnivores directly consume herbivores, while secondary and tertiary carnivores consume other carnivores at higher trophic levels. Each step in the food chain represents a transfer of energy from one organism to another. Omnivores are consumers that have a flexible diet, feeding on both plant material and other animals. They occupy multiple trophic levels in the food chain, depending on their feeding habits and available food sources. Decomposers, such as bacteria and fungi, play a vital role in breaking down organic matter from dead organisms and waste materials. They decompose organic material into simpler forms, releasing nutrients back into the environment. Decomposers facilitate nutrient recycling and contribute to the overall functioning of ecosystems. Understanding the relative positions of producers and consumers in food chains allows us to comprehend the flow of energy and nutrients within ecosystems. Producers initiate the transfer of energy by converting sunlight into chemical energy, while consumers depend on producers for their energy needs. Through the interactions between producers and consumers, energy and nutrients are passed along the food chain, sustaining the web of life within ecosystems. Food chains, unraveling the flow of energy and nutrients in ecosystems. Heading: Unraveling the flow, understanding food chains in ecosystems. Food chains provide a framework for understanding the transfer of energy and nutrients as they flow from one organism to another within an ecosystem. They depict the interconnected relationships among different trophic levels, including producers, primary consumers, secondary consumers, and beyond. The flow of energy and nutrients. Food chains illustrate the flow of energy and nutrients within an ecosystem. Energy enters the food chain primarily through producers, which convert sunlight energy into chemical energy through photosynthesis. Producers, such as plants, algae, and some bacteria, utilize this energy to synthesize organic molecules, including carbohydrates, that store energy. The energy stored in producers is then passed along the food chain as organisms consume one another. The transfer of energy occurs as consumers feed on other organisms, obtaining nutrients and energy in the process. Each trophic level represents a transfer of energy, with energy decreasing as it moves up the chain due to energy loss in the form of heat and metabolic processes. Trophic levels, the hierarchy of organisms. Food chains consist of different trophic levels, each representing a distinct group of organisms based on their feeding relationships and position within the chain. Producers, also known as autotrophs, occupy the first trophic level. They synthesize their own food using sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide through photosynthesis. Producers capture and convert solar energy into chemical energy, becoming the primary energy source for all other organisms within the ecosystem. Primary consumers, also called herbivores, represent the second trophic level. They consume producers, feeding primarily on plant material to obtain energy and nutrients. Primary consumers play a vital role in transferring energy from producers to higher trophic levels. Secondary consumers reside at the third trophic level and primarily feed on primary consumers. They are carnivores that consume herbivores or other secondary consumers. Secondary consumers obtain energy by consuming organisms that have already acquired energy from producers. Tertiary consumers, found at higher trophic levels, are carnivores that prey on other carnivores. They represent the fourth or subsequent trophic levels in the food chain. Tertiary consumers obtain energy by consuming organisms from lower trophic levels. Beyond the tertiary level, the chain continues with higher-level carnivores, forming a complex web of interconnected food chains within an ecosystem. Food chains may also include decomposers, such as bacteria and fungi, which occupy a crucial role in breaking down dead organic matter and returning nutrients back into the environment. Decomposers play a vital role in nutrient recycling and the decomposition process. Understanding food chains. Food chains offer a simplified representation of energy and nutrient flow within an ecosystem, highlighting the interdependencies and relationships between organisms. They help us comprehend the intricate balance and functioning of ecosystems, illustrating how energy is transferred and nutrients are cycled from one organism to another. By studying food chains, scientists gain insights into the ecological dynamics, population interactions, and energy transfer within ecosystems. Changes in one trophic level can have cascading effects on other levels, influencing population sizes, species compositions, and overall ecosystem stability. Food chains serve as a foundational concept for understanding the complexities of ecological systems. They form the basis for studying more intricate ecological models, such as food webs, which encompass multiple interconnected food chains within an ecosystem. Understanding the flow of energy and nutrients in food chains allows us to appreciate the delicate balance of ecosystems and the importance of maintaining healthy and sustainable interactions between organisms. Producers, unveiling the marvels of autotrophs. Heading: Unveiling the marvels, exploring producers as autotrophs. Producers, also referred to as autotrophs, possess the remarkable ability to generate their own organic matter using an intriguing process known as autotrophy. These organisms play a fundamental role in ecosystems by harnessing energy from the environment to synthesize organic compounds, setting the stage for the flow of energy and nutrients through the food chain. Autotrophy, the power of self-sustenance. Autotrophs have the unique capability to convert inorganic substances, such as carbon dioxide and water, into organic molecules through the process of photosynthesis or chemosynthesis. This transformative process is the foundation of autotrophic nutrition and allows producers to generate their own food. Through autotrophy, autotrophs become self-sufficient, producing organic compounds that serve as the primary source of energy and nutrients for all other organisms in the ecosystem. Photosynthetic producers, capturing sunlight energy. Photosynthetic producers, including plants, algae, and certain bacteria, utilize sunlight as their primary source of energy. They possess specialized pigments, such as chlorophyll, that enable them to capture sunlight and convert it into chemical energy through photosynthesis. In this remarkable process, sunlight energy is harnessed to power the synthesis of glucose and other organic compounds. Oxygen, a byproduct of photosynthesis, is released into the environment, contributing to the oxygen-rich atmosphere essential for supporting aerobic life on Earth. Chemosynthetic producers, tapping into chemical energy. In contrast to photosynthetic producers, chemosynthetic autotrophs derive their energy from chemical reactions rather than sunlight. These unique organisms can be found in environments such as deep-sea hydrothermal vents or sulfur-rich environments. They utilize energy derived from chemical compounds, such as hydrogen sulfide or methane, to produce organic matter. Chemosynthesis serves as their primary metabolic pathway, enabling them to thrive in extreme environments devoid of sunlight. The role of producers in ecosystems. Producers occupy the first trophic level in food chains and are vital contributors to ecosystem functioning. Through their autotrophic capabilities, producers convert abiotic resources, including sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide, into organic matter. This organic matter, in the form of carbohydrates, proteins, and other essential compounds, fuels the energy and nutrient needs of other organisms within the ecosystem. As primary producers, autotrophs form the foundation of the food chain, providing nourishment for herbivores, which are subsequently consumed by carnivores and other higher-level consumers. The energy captured by producers is transferred through the trophic levels, supporting the growth, reproduction, and survival of organisms throughout the ecosystem. Moreover, producers play a critical role in nutrient cycling within ecosystems. When producers undergo processes such as photosynthesis or are consumed by other organisms, organic matter is broken down, releasing nutrients back into the environment. This nutrient recycling ensures the availability of essential elements for the growth and development of organisms. The significance of producers extends beyond their role as energy and nutrient sources. They shape habitats, provide oxygen through photosynthesis, contribute to the regulation of atmospheric carbon dioxide levels, and support the overall stability and biodiversity of ecosystems. Understanding the profound impact of producers as autotrophs provides insights into the intricate web of life and the interdependencies between organisms. The conservation and sustainable management of autotroph populations are essential for maintaining the balance and resilience of ecosystems, ensuring the continuity of life and the well-being of all organisms within our planet.